right, and we are back. We have been having some technical difficulties, but we have got those worked out. Looks like both teams are getting themselves ready, and we'll be doing a full reset here on Kings Row in a moment. Once we get both teams in, that should be just a moment here. We've already seen some really good pushes and counters by both Louisville and David City, and I'm excited to see how these guys handle this reset. So we'll give them here just another moment. They're requesting 3 singular seconds as opposed to 2. So once those guys get back in, we'll be able to get this thing going once again. And so we'll let these guys get themselves all reset. And we'll be seeing a lot of really good things here. I know we've got Lion Rider, and those guys have been doing an excellent job with the pushing. David City been doing a really good job with their defenses. So we'll see how these guys are able to do with this new round of competition in Kings Row. It should be a good round, should be a lot of fun, and we'll just give these guys here a few more moments. 26. Yeah. I believe we're just waiting on Louisville now. David City has been confirmed. They are good to go. All right, and they are good. So we are going to be going back in to Overwatch. Let's get this game going. All right, both of these teams have been ready to get going here. I know I am. So we're going to let these teams get themselves started off here. You can see just as we get ready, once again, those narrow streets of Kings Row here in London and those holding points. And with this new round getting going, I'm excited to see what our teams are going to be doing for this new round of competition and combat. All right, and it looks like we're seeing once again another bunker style formation from Louisville. We got the double shield and the Rhine here, as well as that Baptiste tank, as well as a nice Mercy and Lucio for some good health and attacking. They've also got a nice Reaper, which you'll be able to use for that mobility and getting around. You can see that double shield setting up already, with one shield being dropped and the other right behind it, and the Bastion being set up behind, damage boosted by the Mercy, of course, right here in this perfect first choke point. The Reaper's going around behind to get some advantage from behind, and on the defense side, you can see we've got that Hog and the 2 tanks coming in here. And the game has begun. And you can see here, as they're coming in, they're going to be going in that left side here. And already, they're getting some good shots here. Looks like they're trying to go in on that right side, try and stop that Reaper. And the Reaper is eliminated, knocked out of the way. The big challenge they're going to have right now is breaking up that bunker formation, getting those 2 shields knocked out of the way, and taking out that tank. Already, Diva's moving in hard, but she's knocked out of her tank and knocked out entirely. Reaper's already coming back in for that reset. And you can see here, May's coming in with that ice wall to just help slow things down. And they want to get that Bastion knocked out of the way. But it doesn't look like they're going to be able to make a good knockback for it there. Here's another one of those ice walls to stop it. And you can see here that Mercy's trying to stay back. She wants to get as much healing and health in as possible. Same thing with the Lucio. The Roadhog is staying back, but you can see that they're coming back in. But already we got a Bastion ult coming in hot. Dropping in, try to get some more kills and knock some more players out of the way. They want to be able to hold off that push. And you can see we got that Hog ult dropping in as well. That Bastion's good. No, and the Bastion's knocked out. That's going to take out a lot of the bunker formation. They're going to try and get that Reaper taken out as well. And now it's just down to that Orisa, and she's knocked out. And with that, David City is going to take the point. Lucy's going to hold it. The rest of the team's going to get themselves set up. May's getting her ice wall ready for that push. And there she goes, holding it off just long enough for them to get through. Oh, and the Reinhardt's coming in and is knocked out. And with that, they're going to be... All right, it looks like Louisville's trying their hardest to make sure they're holding that point. And they are all moving in hard with all of those different characters coming in. But it's not enough. And with 4.5 minutes left, David City is going to be escorting that payload into the objective. You can see now that Louisville, having just lost that first push, they're going to be set all the way back to the back and are going to be trying their hardest to reset. Of course, that Reinhardt doesn't want to extend too far forward on his own and get picked off by David City. As you can see here, they're getting themselves set back up. We see now that we've got those turrets coming in, which will be an incredibly useful thing. Mert's coming in for the damage boost. And with that Mei ult drop, that's going to freeze just about all of them. And teamed up with that Reaper, that's going to do a lot of damage for the two of them. But in the back, we've got their own Reaper of Louisville coming in to try and slow things down a little bit. They want to just keep people off of that payload for as much as possible, but they're going to try their hardest to pursue him and knock him out. It's not going to go too well for him, but he's out of the picture. And you can see here that David City's got 3 of those ults ready to go. That self-destruct, that sound barrier, and of course that Mercy flight. Those are going to be really useful and definitely give them a bit of an advantage over the one Reaper ult of Death Blossom that they've got. And without much of a moving forward, they are basically going to be pushed back. And it looks like without those contests there, they're going to be moving that right up to the objective, dropping them up a little bit closer. You can see now that Mei is going to be doing her best to slow these guys down. She's already been doing a lot. And that Mercy down there, she's just slowly floating to her death, slowly but surely. And of course, back in the back, you've got Lucio making sure that he holds onto that point, ready to drop his sound barrier if needed. And of course, up in the front, you've got the Hog making sure to get some of those, pull off some of those defensive plays and get some of those picks. You can see now on the other side, they're getting that set up back and ready. Orisa's got her ultimate, and the Bastion's knocked out of the way. And with that drop, they're going to be coming in hard. You can see Reinhardt doing his best to knock out a few of those people as he goes down as well, and he's going to get off that Roadhog. And Orisa's doing her best, but it's not quite going to be enough right now. You can see the big challenge she's got is she's got that shield placed down, which will be very helpful. But the challenge with it is that when it goes down, it's going down hard. And that ultimate's dropping down is definitely going to slow down some of Louisville. And they're going to do their best to keep it going. But, of course, that Lucio still trying to stay on that objective and keep it from getting pushed forward any further. They want to cut off as much time as possible. And with 2.5 minutes left, they're definitely going to have a lot less time going for them this round. I hear the sounds of a Bastion ult coming through, and there it is. But that's not going to be enough. That's going to be the end of round 1. David City wins the push all the way with 2 minutes and 45 seconds left. And now as we get ready for our second round of competition, the two teams are going to get themselves set up with those flips in place. David City, of course, is going to be the team that is, if I remember correctly, attacking. And, of course, your boys over in Louisville are going to be doing their defense. And once again, just looking at this beautiful map here, you can see that a lot of those different corridors that we've seen definitely favors a lot more of a narrow gameplay, even in that first objective. As you can see now, we've got those teams coming up now. We've got a Zenyatta, we've got a Reinhardt, we've got a Zarya, a Reaper, and a Mercy. And they're going to be coming in and setting themselves up with that shield and bubble combination on the tanks. Lot of heals coming in from that Zen and the Mercy, as well as some good offensive stuff from the Zen and damage boosting from the Mercy. And of course, everybody's favorite Doomfist coming in to help out with some of those getting people knocked off and the picks. Now, one thing that I'm noticing here, and you'll see here, is that Louisville's going with a little bit of a different comp. You can see we've got the Wrecking Ball here as opposed to a more traditional tank. And they're going in hard for this. You can already see he's down and back over to the point. They're going for a really heavy dive here, and you can see they want to get on that point and get in on quickly. And already, they're going in to get that point taken back because they want this point, and they want it fast. Already, they've knocked off 4 out of the 6 members of the team, and that's going to be 5 and 6. That's almost a complete team wipe right there. And with that incredibly fast capturing of the point, that took them not even a full minute. They've got that point captured, and they are going to be moving in with almost 6 minutes left to go. Louisville going hard on that pickup. And you can see this composition's very well suited for that dive in and get that point. Even their two healers, Lucio and the Brigettes, are designed to basically get in and get that point going. And you can see here as David City's getting themselves set up for this next fight here, perfectly centered in this choke point. They're going to be going in. They really want to be holding them off at this point because while, yes, they are here, they don't want them getting any further. And this choke point right here is probably one of the best places. You can see here that a lot of this point is designed around this simple choke here. And so getting people stuck in that position is going to keep them from going any further because they've got to be on that objective to get it pushing. Already, Louisville just knocking these people out here. And you can see he's going to try and go for that Roadhog here. And they're going to keep that thing going forward. And with that, looks like David City's going to get themselves reset for another push. And already, that fight has definitely given Louisville a bit of an advantage up ahead. You can see the Winston ult is ready as well as that Death Blossom from the Reaper and Lucio's Sound Barrier. And those are going to be incredibly helpful for this next fight here. And you can see here we've already got some good swaps coming in here. For starters, we've, of course, got that Monkey coming in for the defense for the dive. But additionally, David City swapped off to that Pharah. Hopefully they'll be able to get some good picks with that, as well with that verticality you can see here. A lot of verticality coming in from that Pharah that you're not necessarily seeing. And as a result, Louisville's going to have a little bit of a harder time challenging that. But that ult there from the Reinhardt definitely giving them a bit of an advantage. And as well, I've just noticed we got a Sombra as well on David City, which got their ult. Now that does take away a couple of ultimates from Louisville. You can see now that they've dropped a few. And David City's getting ready with their 3. And as they get moving in here, you can see that these guys are ready to come in and get some movement going. Swapping off now for that Sigma as opposed to what they had earlier with the Reinhardt and that Roadhog. Additionally, one of the big changes here that you might have noticed, we've also got the Sombra coming in. What she's probably going to be doing here, getting ready to drop that hack. There it is. Look at that beautiful hack. Get as many of those teammates out as possible to take as many of those heals as possible. And combined with that combined there with that Pharah ultimate as well, you can see they just did a really good job of knocking off Louisville and keeping them from getting too far forward. But keep in mind, though, Louisville still has a little bit over 4 minutes left to push that objective the rest of the way. Definitely gaining a lot of time that David City didn't have in their defense. And so as a result, Louisville's probably going to have the upper hand in this next fight. Additionally, with some of those ults coming in pretty quickly here, you can already see Reaper's is almost complete, as well as Winston's. They're ready to get those ultimates dropped. And it looks like Reaper's coming in, and he's going to drop that here, if I had to guess. Oh, not yet. But it's coming in here soon, although he may have to reset and back up a little bit, because already it's down to him. Both of the healers are down for Louisville. Oh, and there's that ult drop right there. Not going to do a lot for them, and it's going to ultimately eliminate him. You can see that David City's doing a really good job here of staying a little bit forward. They want to stay in front of that point and keep them from moving too far forward. You can also see that Sombra has been swapped off to a Reaper as well. That Sombra coming in to help with the defense just to make sure that nothing goes too crazy. You can see now that Louisville coming back in, and they're getting some of those ults. And already some of those ults are coming down very quickly, but are being dropped just as quickly. And you can see here as well that David City's setup here being all very well close together is ultimately going to be helping them out a lot as opposed to spreading them out. You can see here, spreading them out and dropping them off like that is going to give them a nice advantage. Louisville doesn't want to trickle in too far because if they do, That's gonna be their biggest problem. And the monkey's gone as well. We're not gonna ask about that. You can see holding together, staying nice and grouped up together. They want to keep themselves all together because if they split apart too much, there's going to be some picks. Louisville getting ready to go in now. And they're going to try and go and get that thing out of the way because he is very split off and very close to being dead. But if we go back over to the boys here, they're coming in hard. Dropping a Reinhardt ultimate as well. You can see here that Farah ult being dropped in as well. A lot of ults being dropped here. A lot of quick resets and getting those back. Already, David City looks like they're going to have the advantage here. They've got almost a minute. Louisville's got a minute and 40 left on the clock. So they need to be able to uncontest that point and get some more ground gained, because already, even now, if they do make it to that final objective, they're going to have a bit of a disadvantage when it comes to time, which is something that they don't necessarily want to have, especially if it goes to another round. But it looks like it could very easily be taken by David City. They're doing a very good job right now of holding it, even pushing forward a little bit further just to make sure that those guys stay off the objective for as long as possible. That Sigma ult's getting ready, but he's already dropping down, and it looks like they're going to be using that to their advantage. Both of the tanks are down for David City, and that Reinhardt is back on the point. But that Ryan is also eliminated. And you can see here now that we've got a Junkrat coming in for Louisville. LP Sports coming in, getting that knock. They are on the point, but they are still being contested, which is their biggest challenge right now. And of course, goodness, I cannot seem to, there we go. And of course, for that Sigma, coming in, trying to get that out of the way. Knock down some of that. And it looks like they're going to make some good pushes forward. Of course, there's still a lot of contesting that needs to be done. We got a Farah ult that's probably going to be coming in here soon. Definitely to try and break up this group of people. And that junk is picked off. Louisville definitely wants to be staying on that objective, because if any of them get knocked off at this point, it's basically going to be a game over for them, and they will be knocked out here. And with it going into overtime, we're about to start seeing a lot of ultimates. Already that Brig ultimate coming in, as well as that Farah ult coming in from above. They want to get these guys knocked off the point and knocked off quickly. Roadhog coming. Ooh, man, what a drop. And that's going to be a team kill right there. And that is game. So that's going to be our first victory, is going to go to David City. And what a round that was. Let's take a look here and see what this play of the game is going to be. Quite impressive. Ah, yes, the Sombra hack coming in from Unreal Slice. What a play. You can see here just sneaking in behind right after that hack, coming in hard, and just timing that so well with some of the other ultimates that we saw, like that Farah ult, are going to work incredibly well just to get that. What a round, what a round, what a round. Absolutely impressive. All right, and with that out of the way, we're going to be switching back over to our next round, which is going to be, we're going to wait to see what our boys over at Louisville are going to pick for the next map. They're going to be choosing an assault map, which is going to be interesting. So we will see what map they decide to choose, and we will let you know here in a moment. But we'll wait for their answer, and while we do that, we're going to be getting things ready for this next map. And so with the assault map, the big thing that you're going to be seeing a lot of here is a lot of striving and going after those objectives. So we're going to see what assault map they choose. And it could be Hanamura, it could be Volskaya Industries, or it could be Anubis. Either one of those two maps, or three maps, I should say. There's going to be a lot of different variations, especially with the way that those maps are designed, which characters they decide to go after. Definitely going to be very interesting depending on which map Louisville chooses. So we're going to wait and see. Now, if David City wins this one, that will be the victory going to David City. But if Louisville wins it, we will go into a round 3 with David picking the map. So we'll wait for them to see we'll find out what map they're going to be choosing, and we'll be going from there. So we'll give these guys a moment here, and we'll see what map they would like to do next. All right, it's going to be... So we'll wait to see what they say and give them a moment to choose. But it could be one of those three maps. So once again, they'll be picking from Hanamura, Full Sky Industries, or Anubis. All three very different maps with different... Yep. We'll see what map they choose and go from there. So while they get their map picked, so we'll see what we've got for the map. So it's going to be an assault map, and we'll see what happens next. We'll make sure as well that... And we'll give them a little bit more time to pick here, because assault map, each one of those maps is going to have a very different focus. With Hanamura, you've definitely got a lot more open spaces, especially on those two objective points. With Volskaya Industries, there is some good openness, but there's also a lot of chokes, especially with that second objective point. And depending on, and again, as well with Anubis, that one, there's a lot more of a confined space, especially with that first point, but not so much in the second. There's a little bit more variation with that one. All right, and Hanamura has been selected. So we will be seeing here what this match is going to be looking like in a moment. It's going to be a good time, I can tell you that much without a shadow of a doubt. So we'll give these guys a moment to get themselves ready, and we will be dropping into Hanamura for our next round of competitive. Should be a good round to see. We've been seeing a lot of definitely really good ultimate uses in economy, as well as some really good picks and some really good groupings for both teams. And seeing both of those groupings together is ultimately going to determine how these teams are able to fare, whether David City will be able to pick up that second win, or whether Louisville will be able to snag it and bring this into a third round. So we'll wait for these teams to get ready, and we will get this game going here. Should be a good time. And both teams are ready to go. So we're going to be getting this game headed out. And with that out of the way, welcome, my friends, to Hanamura. You can already see here with this first objective point, definitely a lot more open space, especially with that big old bell right in the center of the room. But we also have this huge choke point right here in the big wooden doors and this little gap here. And so seeing how both teams react both defensively and offensively to this setup is going to be really engaging to watch, especially too with that second point, which we'll be seeing here in a little bit, that goes back into this temple. But with that out of the way, let's see what we've got for the teams. Looks like Louisville's going to be going with another bunker setup. You can see they've got that Bastion on the defense, the Sigma, and the Orisa coming in for those two shields. And then, of course, a teleporter and a couple of good picks as well. And you can see from David City's perspective, they've got some interesting choices as well. And see here, they're getting themselves set up with that bunker. You've got the first shield down, some turrets as well to help keep people from going too far. And that choke is going to be a very important part that Louisville's going to want to keep engaged. And you can see that third turret as well, helping to secure that top choke. And with that out of the way, the game is beginning. You can see here, we've got that Lucio coming in with the speed boats to help give some assists, a Mercy, and a May as well. That May wall is going to be incredibly useful here as well on a defensive aspect. And the Diva too. You can see that already getting that pick and getting that Bastion out of the line and knocking him out of the way. That's going to be a huge gain for this team. You can see here that they're getting some good work in, getting those picks off. They want to pull people through that and get them over onto their side of the map. Already, we're seeing that May dropping through here and getting herself closer and closer to that objective point. In fact, 3 people are already on that objective point now and getting some good kills as well. As I say that, May gets eliminated, with the Reapers coming in hard and knocking off some kills. And with that, 5 people are on. And David City is taking their first objective point with a little bit over 3 minutes left to go. Already they're getting themselves set up to go into the second position. Meanwhile, we've got Louisville getting themselves ready to set up some good defense points. Looks like they're going to be going for that Baptiste up on the higher level. They want to do that double shield because they want to make sure that nothing really goes wrong. And you can see as well, they're getting ready to move into that upper level as well. They want to get that contested. And you can see those 2 shields coming in. Already those 2 shields are starting to break down. And they're going to try and pull off some picks and get them knocked out of the way. But Louisville doing a good job of holding that objective. They want to make sure that all of them are able to stay there. Marisa's trying to back out of that choke hallway, because if she gets out of the way, if she gets too far in there, she's going to be picked off pretty darn cleanly. You see they're still holding up that defense. And it looks like, they're going to be trying a different approach here. David City waiting to get that Diva mech back up. You don't want to lose that mech because it's going to be a bit annoying. And of course that Hog doing his best. Ooh, and that ultimate drop there. Coming in hard and getting knocked off and picked off a couple of people. But you can see here, we've got people down on the objective already. There's 3 of them up there. But they're coming in hard. They want to get Louisville trying their best to get in. You can see we got that Sigma switching off to a Reinhardt to get that some more of that in-person close combat. Already though, it's just down to that Reinhardt. And so depending on what Lion Rider decides to do, you can see here they got a Tracer now as well for Louisville. And using that increased mobility is going to be very helpful. In fact, that looks like that's what Louisville wants right now. They want to be able to keep that mobility and stay on the point and objective as long as possible. And the longer they can stay on it, the more time they're going to have. And with that, David City secures the point with 3 minutes and 56 seconds left to go. An excellent push there by those guys. You could see a lot of really good pushes and movements, getting those picks off and out of the way. And with 3 minutes and 56 seconds, that's going to be an interesting time to beat. And will definitely give them advantage if this goes into the 3rd round. You can already see just looking through here some of the different mobility options that both teams had when coming in. You can see David City, of course, favoring a lot of this higher ground approach right over here and going in through these sorts of chokes. A choke that naturally leads to this beautiful spot here, which Louisville was very much ready to hold and defend on. But now as we get into that 5 seconds left, we'll see what Louisville is going to be choosing for offense and what David City is going to be choosing for their defense. Once again, you can see that heavy dive as shown up in the top left. Louisville choosing that extreme dive of the Hammond Wrecking Ball and, of course, Winston the Monkey as their 2 tanks. They want to be able to use that increased mobility to get in and get going places. And David City here using a more shield-based one with the Reinhardt and the Zarya for that mobile shield and the bubbles. Additionally, though, we've got a few other notable pieces that will be useful, such as the Junkrat. Those traps and those bombs are going to be incredibly helpful in getting things set up and getting things placed. You can already see the Junkrat trap laid down at the front with the bomb to get a pick right away. And we'll see here what we have going down already. Everybody's getting themselves moved in and getting going. And the shield trap is down, and that Hammond is in. And the Winston is down, getting close to the point, and is trapped and knocked off. That Doomfist going to try and use some of those increases, but that ball, once again, using that mobility. Everybody's just being dropped off here incredibly quickly. And that Lucio, while he's still on the point, is been eliminated. You can see here that David City is using a lot more of a more defensive play. They want to stay on this objective point and not necessarily be as far forward, because with the dive style that Louisville has right now, it'd be very easy for David City to just simply go over or around that choke point and make it onto the objective, giving them a notable advantage. So by David City playing this more defensive backline on the point approach, it gives them more of an advantage because they're able to better stay in position. You can hear those screams right now. It sounds like one of our other teams in the other rounds has just won. But David City and Louisville currently playing right now. You can see that verticality coming in from the Lucio is going to be incredibly helpful, especially with some of those ults starting to come up. Like this one right here. Speaking of the ultimates, knocking out that Lucio right there. And once again, David City comes out the victor in this team fight. Now, ult economy is going to be a big thing here, especially now in this next fight. You can see here, if you take a look at this Winston, he is swapped off for a Roadhog. I take it back. I have no idea what I'm saying. But you can see some of those ultimates are getting a lot closer to being used here. For example, the Brigette getting very close. A good team fight will be able to get her over the 100%. As well, it's the same thing with the Pharah now, especially as she comes in. That Pharah getting that usage on that ultimate. Speaking of that ultimate, there it is. Depending on how she uses it, get a good grouping, get up there, and use that verticality to get a few picks as well. But that's not going to work out for her. A drop of that Lucio ultimate of that sound barrier is going to give her the advantage. Is going to give David City the advantage, I should say. And with that, they're going to win that team fight once again. And with this next round, once again, you're going to be seeing a lot of those ultimates being used here. Already, David City has got almost 3 ults ready to go. Reaper's Death Blossom is already ready, and it shouldn't be too long before we see the Zarya ultimate coming into play, as well as the Junkrat ult. Speaking of that Junkrat ultimate, I see it coming in now. Now, Louisville are going to try for a little bit different approach. They're going to be trying to go around the side here, use that new approach to hopefully get them an advantage. And speaking of, well, there he goes. But that approach isn't going to work with them, even with that Ashe coming in as well. Trying to get some snipe picks as well. And that's going to be a team kill right there. And not even having to use all of their ultimates. They've got less than a minute left. So if Louisville wants to do their best to use it, David City's going to move really far forward now. They want to be holding that point and keeping them from getting on that objective for as long as possible. So you can see they're playing a lot more forward and getting a lot more of the objectives knocked out. And it's working pretty well for them. Already a lot more eliminations. That Ashe coming in to try and do some help, but that's not going to do too much. She's knocked down. And now that David City has moved to the objective, the big challenge that Louisville is going to have is getting through and getting onto that objective. And you can see that even their attempts at getting on there ultimately end in a lot of death for Louisville. And with one more ultimate, we've got an overtime dropped. But most all of the team is dropped. And that is game. David City is going to be taking home the victory for this round. Goodness gracious, what a match. Let's take a look and see what that play of the game was, because I'm sure it's going to be absolutely fantastic. A triple boop right there. You can see all 3 of those guys getting booped off the edge and knocked into the void. Definitely a really good play and an excellent round by both David City and Louisville. A fantastic job to the both of them. Great job to both teams. The next thing we're going to be seeing here is we are going to be going into the finals for these rounds. This round will be the finals for 4th place, so we will be seeing Louisville going up against the losing team from our other NSCA tournament, which of course is happening over on the NSCSA official Twitch channel. So we will be seeing that happen here in a little bit. Meanwhile, David City, of course, is going to be advancing to the finals with the winning team from the other NSCSA state match. Incredible plays. Definitely David City had a lot of that advantage, being able to split up Louisville's group and get those picks just knocked out of the way, and being able to combat those as well. Their defense was very versatile, which was another big thing that you saw a lot of advantages with. While Louisville dive comp was definitely a lot more aggressive, for instance, in the early beginnings with that Winston and that Wrecking Ball, it wasn't necessarily as more defensive oriented. So once they got in, they didn't necessarily have as many of those different ways to defend themselves, which is a bit of a shame. you definitely want to be seeing some of those sorts of things going forward. But with that said, and with that out of the way, a great job by both competitive teams. We're going to be seeing both of these teams competing in the finals. Of course, if you want to watch the state finals for first and second place for state for Overwatch for this division, you're going to want to tune over to the official NSES8 Twitch channel. However, if you want to stay for the third place finals, you're going to want to stay right here. That's where it's going to be broadcast at. So we will be getting those teams set up and getting those things all changed around, and we'll see how this next round of competition goes.